Okay, welcome back. As we were in the break, we did get a few questions that came in for our panelists. Again, with me is Superintendent Vince Schaefer, Business Manager Mitch Brooks, and one of the committee members on the MHS Renovation Committee, Charlie Johnson, also a landowner, taxpayer in the school district as well. So we'll hit on these questions that we've been asked. And now, as we were on the subject before of the funding in the project, one of the questions we've gotten is there enough money in capital outlay once the elementary school is paid off in a few years? Would there be enough money in capital outlay to fund the entire project at that point? Mitch, I don't know if you want to, or Vince, if you guys want to answer that question.
Well, I'll start out. Mitch can clean up my what I leave off. But we've had that question before, and we've tried to answer it as well as possible. But the bottom line on that is no. The $14.5 million amount would be too much to put on the back, so to speak, of the capital outlay 3 mil levy and get that accomplished in 20 years. At the level that we're trying to do, you might say, the remodeling project right now, it would be difficult, if not impossible. Or well, it wouldn't be possible. I'd have to cut the project back to say about $10 million would be my thought. But it's a very good question, and the issue would mean then that if that's the way it went, there wouldn't be a 65-cent increase or a mill levy of 0.65, but when you look at the proposed increase of 0.65 and the impact of new dollars on the tax bill, if you look at like for example in today's Argus Leader, Harrisburg passed a $38 million project down there, and of course they're a growing district, but they have relatively all new buildings and will have the way this support went for them. But they were looking at a mill levy of 12.00 some odd numbers, and the impact to the voters down there is significantly different and greater than what we're asking the voters here in Madison at 0.65. So I, for example, as a consumer, would look at what does it cost me in new dollars from what I've been paying, and the way Mitchell just explained it, when you break that down to the average homeowner in Madison, the weekly cost is $1.10 a week. And it's all proportionate to the amount of property you own. I realize that. But, education is something that's with us. It's called the public school system, and that's the way we support it in the state of South Dakota. And I'm not saying on the backs of property is the right way to do it, but it's the way it's been done for the last, approximately 60-some years, I think. Mm-hmm. And that's the way it is. And we live within that parameter.
Anything to add to that, Mitch?
Just looking out, because these are, projected numbers going 5 years out, but it's difficult to project where district land and house valuation is going to be as a total in 5 years. You can use a 4% growth, and then what estimated costs of project or the building is. I mean, they estimate that can go up about 8 to 15% per year, and so we put those numbers together, and it gets in the land of theory, and it's difficult. I guess looking at what we need to do with our facility and not wanting to fix it and then refix it as we do future construction was one of the concerns. Current rates, market rates are as low as they've been. That's one thing that when you talk $14.5 million. To finance that at the current rates is much less than if things go up just 1 point. In the next 5 years, there's quite a significant change there. And so there's a lot of things looked at, with answering that question. And it's hard to see into the future, but taking a look at where we felt, would best serve our school and our community, this is kind of the plan that the committee came up with.
Mm-hmm.
And not to speak for the board, but I think they made a kind of a pledge to themselves that they were going to keep capital outlay indebtedness to probably 50% or less of the total annual revenue. Right now, annual revenue at this present time is about $1.7 million, and so we're going to be looking at to satisfy the capital outlay certificates after the elementary school is done of about a $700,000 payment.
That's right.
So I think, as Vince and Mitch have pointed out, to extend that burden even further is really jeopardizing what you're going to be able to do in the future with capital outlay. So.
In my one more point on that, and we probably need to move to something different, but the point would be then if you get out there another 10, 12 years, there'll be other renovations that need to be done too. Let's not forget that. Modernization again of the middle school, for example. And we'll hope that we can keep up with that modernization cycle within the parameter of our existing capital outlay funds that are remaining.
Right, like you said, it's hard to predict what the future is going to bring to that at that point. But another question that we received, and we'll thank the Madison High School government class for listening to us this morning, but they would like to know how the renovating the school is going to benefit the community as a whole. How is this renovation project and some of the additions and things that are going to be done, how that is going to, what kind of economic benefit, what kind of benefit that's going to have to the community as a whole?
I'll start. Well, first of all, modernization or building of schools is considered to be an economic development task. And it creates jobs, it creates opportunities in the field of construction and purchasing of materials and wages while that parameter is going on. Then in addition to that new facility or modernized facility is very attractive to those who are looking to locate their home in Madison, in the Madison School District, or our businesses that are looking to relocate to communities that are considered to be progressive and where they would like their employees to live. Well, Madison has a lot to be considered on the positive side already. For example, we have by the lakes, we have a 4-lane highway, the interstate is within reach, you might say, and we have a lot of economic development and support going on in our community already. But the school district and the quality of housing, business district, churches, are some of the major factors that those who are looking at communities to relocate for whatever reason take into consideration. And we've had people go through our school, existing school buildings, on tour to select where they might go, because people do that nowadays, and that is a sign of the times. And we're okay until they get into the high school. And, if you go to area schools of even smaller than ours, many of them have better facilities for the high school students than what Madison Central does. And so that's one of the very reasons that we need to be looking at this seriously. It's also reached the point of inhibiting the process of teaching and learning, and I'm getting off the target of economic development, but increased traffic in town brings money to the coffers of the city and of the businesses in this area. And with the increased aspects of this project, not only the academic, but the auditorium, and of course the gymnasium, will bring increased traffic. For example, we are in the midst of discussions right now about an athletic conference or a conference changes. And if that comes to be, it could be a conference of 12 schools, as many as 12 schools, and it would run from Dakota Valley to Madison. And it would bring a lot of activity because we would be as large as or larger than most with the gymnasium we have. And we could host not only athletic events, but we could host a jazz band, swing choir, we could host oral and terp events, and we could host many things. And then, of course, the community could use that larger facility as well, because there'll be a lot of square footage in there if you push back the seats, for example, for trade shows, any kind of thing that you might say. And so we look at it as a great opportunity for our community to have increased revenues as a result of this project.
Okay, and we're past 9 o'clock, but I've been given the go-ahead to keep going because we still have some things that we want to cover. So if it's okay with you gentlemen, we'll keep going for a few more minutes here, and so we can get to some of the other things we want to talk about. We'll do this in place of our 9 o'clock news and our 9 o'clock report that we normally do at this time here on AM 1390. So we'll keep going with some questions. We still have a couple questions that came in that we want to be sure. I guess I should say, did anybody else have anything else to add to what Vince had responded there to the economic benefit of the project? One of the questions we got was if this doesn't pass, then what's next? What comes next, I guess, what are the plans for the district? And I don't know which one of you wants to.
Well, I think we need to keep in mind, this is the plan that we have today, and we'll be voting on it here next Tuesday. And it'll be incumbent upon everybody to get out and vote, whether you're going to vote yes or no, to make sure that we have a large turnout, that this very major decision here in our community is made by most all the people, rather than just a 10% or a 15% turnout. And so, we've relayed a lot of information here today. I think it's very important that people exercise their responsibility, which is to get out and vote. Whether it's 5 minutes after this program is over, they can go to the business office and vote early, or be there next Tuesday at the Armory and exercise your right to vote. My concern, maybe is not so much who can best afford this potential tax increase, but those who probably least can't. And I understand that for a lot of people, they've gone through some rough times, whether it's been unemployment or emergencies or anything else. And so I'm sympathetic to that. But on the other hand, we've tried to present a plan that I think is very balanced, reasonable, provides a modest amount of a tax increase. So hopefully, everyone will give strong consideration to it. But also, it's up to each individual to make his or her own honest decision. So I think it's premature to say that there's a plan C, D, or E, or F out there. That today now it's plan that we have here before the voters to work on this one. Mention a little bit about fundraising. What we're proposing here today for payments and amounts is basically taxpayers or property owners footing basically the cost of this project. We haven't talked much about fundraising. And I really think that if, for those who have the ability and those who highly support this project, now is a good time to come forward and give your support, not only verbally but also financially. For a lot of people, this increase, even though it is modest, may be having an undue effect on them. And what we do need is fundraising to come in and bridge that gap, so to speak. We mentioned the 4 years here that we're going to be trying to combine payments with the elementary school and pay for this project. It would be a good goal to totally bridge that gap with fundraising. There's always extra things that kind of come into play as you're going into construction, things that you kind of forget or just come about, and we need to have that kind of money. We need to have fundraising coming in that, if it's money there, we can reduce that levy request. It'd be nice to say to the taxpayers, well, rather than 0.65, it's 0.55 this year because we had a healthy dose of fundraising. Mm-hmm. And so for those that have the ability, those that highly support what's going on here with the Madison schools, my challenge to you, I guess, is please come forward and make that pledge, make that billfold open up and help out. That this doesn't have to totally ride 100% just on property owners.
And there are some options for people as far as the fundraising is concerned. Vince, did you want to talk about that a little bit?
You bet I would. Jenny Thompson, school board member Jenny Thompson, is leading that committee of fundraising, and we actually think that after the voters vote on the 8th, if it passes, that committee will really do their best work and their greatest work after that time. They've been at work at this point, but there are a lot of people that are saying, well, I'm going to wait and see if it passes, and then I'm going to, for example, get involved. And that's not an unusual thing. We're looking for, not only that large donor, for example, but we're also looking for, the average person, what the average person might be. For example, if one of my children were to have graduated from Madison and they went on to the field of medicine or the field of veterinary science or agriculture or whatever, I might feel quite, inclined to help out in the funding of a science lab or the renovations in the ag department, that type of thing, or in the field of art, for example. We have not talked about art, but our art program is going to have a great experience should they have this thing pass. And we just, for example, last week had 2 kids up to Northern State, and they showed their artwork, and they were received very well, and there was discussion of scholarship to Northern based on their art there. And so that's just one example. There's so many things and so many ways that people can get financially involved. We're talking about doing it similar to the community centers project, with the bricks and the names in there and things like that. And there's also going to be advertising opportunities in the gymnasium, inside the gymnasium. There's a naming opportunity for the outside of the gym, and that whole aspect. You could have your name on the library, on the front of the street, for example. Any classroom, any project, there's money and opportunity.
And you have had some that have stepped forward already. I know Bud Postma, who's also helping with that, along with Jenny Thompson, had mentioned at a meeting that the Booster Club, Madison Booster Club, helping, and a part of the project that was cut, basically, or that was cut back with the lockers in the locker rooms. They're going to help out to bring those back to the level that they were before, and what they feel is good for the students that are using it. So just one example of someone who's a group that's already stepped forward. I know there's several others. So
we have $170,000 already committed by way of fundraising, and we have another discussion that's been going on for some time. The first time around, if you recall, we had a $350,000 naming right commitment, and when the bond issue failed, then that was taken off the table. We've been working to find that again and restore that. We have been unable at this time to finalize that. That discussion is still alive and well. I don't know if we're going to end up with a $350,000 project there, but we'll end up with something sizable. I'm quite confident, but it isn't committed yet, and they too are probably waiting until after the election is over to see what kind of voter support and confidence we have here locally. But I'm here to tell you, if that were to come through, that would be a big assistance.